Good evening. I'm your host with perfect hair and questionable judgment. This is News Blast, real news, real funny, where we skim the week so you don't have to pretend you read past the headline. Everything here is satire based on reputable reporting. So if you're a lawyer, please unclench your briefcase. This week, the government keeps sleeping on the job, markets are partying like it's 1999, and we still don't understand why. And global trade is walking into a fight wearing flip-flops. Strap in. First up, the federal government shutdown isn't just affecting parks and paychecks anymore. It's hitting the National Nuclear Security Administration hard. About 80% of its civilian staff are being furloughed, leaving only roughly 375 people doing the essential work of watching over nukes. That's like shutting down the fire department's burger joint and leaving the crew just to hover over the grill. And yes, this is apparently the most expensive game of I'll pretend to work in the history of federal agencies. Estimated cost, up to $15 billion per week in lost economic output. So if you feel like your tax dollars are missing, you're not imagining it. They've gone on lunch break, and so has the economy. Meanwhile, the economy is somehow doing amazing, and also terrified. On one hand, the IMF upgraded its U.S. growth forecast thanks to an AI investment surge and booming tech sector. On the other, key inflation and labor data are delayed because the shutdown stopped the Bureau of Labor Statistics from publishing reports. So yes, the economy is the classmate who aced the test but forgot to eat lunch. Stocks had one of their best weeks in ages. The S&P 500, Dow, and NASDAQ all rose despite shutdown chaos and trade headaches. It's like watching a fire drill while someone orders champagne. Confusing, impressive, and slightly reckless. And in sports, because apparently we still have time for that, the New York Jets proved once again that their offense and Wi-Fi signal share the same issue. No connection. The Dallas Cowboys celebrated a touchdown like they'd won the Super Bowl, then immediately remembered they haven't done that since flip phones were cool. Meanwhile, in college football, a top 10 team lost to a school better known for its marching band. Fans reacted by storming the field, mostly to ask why their team's defense was already there. But credit where it's due, everyone handled it maturely. By maturely, I mean they set fire to a trash can and blamed the ref. Smirks. And yes, Gary bet on them. He's now taking donations via Venmo. Now let's talk trade. The U.S. is floating a 100% tariff on Chinese goods unless China lifts export restrictions on rare earth minerals. The IMF warns that if tensions escalate, global growth could take a hit. Translation: our global supply chain is playing Jenga on a trampoline. And the president admitted these tariff threats are not sustainable. That's the economic version of oops, my bad, but with 1.4 billion people watching. Let's talk naming. We find a historic economic boom, a shutdown, a trade war in flip-flops, and we call it 2025 U.S. Economic Update. That's not a name, it's a Wi-Fi password. If you want people to care, give it something they'll remember. The boom that wasn't, or budget implosion, the sequel. But instead, we get titles that sound like bank statements, bland, vague, and oddly depressing. From now on, every major story needs a subtitle, like Government Shutdown, Sleepover at the Nuclear Facility. Because if we're going to survive this chaos, we might as well have killer branding. So if this week felt like democracy playing hopscotch on a minefield while the markets threw a party, you're not wrong. Hydrate, breathe, maybe call your representative and politely request they discover the work part of public office. I'm Debra St. Clair, and this was News Blast, real news, real funny. Like, subscribe, and drop the weirdest headline you saw this week in the comments. We'll roast it lovingly next time. Oh, and if you're the type who fact-checks your comedy, the sources are in the description. You're welcome, nerds. Gary, the mic's still on. Yes, we can all hear you eating chips. Please stop crunching on the news.